Here are the two 2024 Hyundais. This is the Elantra Limited Hybrid in gray over light gray interior versus the Sonata Hybrid Limited in Portofino gray over black interior. Both of these have been completely redesigned. You're gonna have 5 MPGs more to the city when you go Elantra opposed to the Sonata. But you're gonna have a 6-speed dual clutch automatic transmission opposed to a 6-speed automatic transmission. So which one's going to be better? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm gonna go over the pros and cons, the problem that I have with both variants and comparable rivals. Starting with the Elantra, you're getting projected LED headlights in daytime runnings, and the daytime runnings will not spin across the hood like it will for the new Sonata, which gives a little bit more of a tech-driven style, but it mimics a coupe design, and it's going to look a little bit more futuristic for the inserts for the grille, giving a more dramatic approach opposed to the Elantra, where the grille is going to be facing downwards with the gloss black elements around the air pocket. And the engine configuration will be completely different, because on the Elantra you're getting a 1.6 liter inline 4-cylinder that's producing a combined of 139 horsepower compared to that 6-speed DCT automatic transmission. When you go into the Sonata, you're getting a 2.0 liter 4-cylinder, and it's going to pump out more horsepower than the standard gas variant at 192 horsepower combined paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission. MPGs are going to be a little bit different. You're getting 49 MPGs for the Elantra to the city, 52 MPGs for the highway, whereas on the Sonata, 44 MPGs for the city, 51 MPGs for the highway. The Sonata will only option one wheel size, which is a 17-inch. It is a two-tone. The lower skirt will flare out. The turn signals are integrated on the corner panel, and you have rear blind spot, which when you use your indicators, it will show the cameras that are on the side view mirrors on the gauge cluster. So that way you don't have to necessarily look at the side view mirror when you're using your indicators. You can see everything from behind you. Plus, when you go the Limited Hybrid, this is the only trim that the Sonata offers a 360-degree reverse camera, as well as a large panel moonroof. Chrome will surround all the window trims, but the Elantra will do the same thing, except you're getting a moonroof, and the turn signals are integrated on the side view mirrors. And you can option a 16-inch wheel if you go to the SEL. But going into the Limited, we're going to have a 17-inch wheel. The side skirt does not flare out, nor will you get a 360-degree reverse camera or blind spot view monitoring. So it is some things to consider because of the price difference. Both of these are the top trim. But going into a lower trim, I feel like the Elantra will be a better value opposed to the Sonata, because you're not going to be receiving those upgrades that are only unique to the Limited Hybrid. And the Elantra drops the third window. It's going to give the grille pattern H-styled LED taillights, and the lower is going to get aggressive where the diffuser comes into play with front and rear parking sensors, and the styling of it is going to mimic kind of a hatchback. Going into the Sonata, you're going to have more of that sport approach. No exhaust outlets are going to be found on either. However, when you go into the Sonata, you're going to have the silver that bulges out to mimic it, front and rear parking sensors with the H-style LED taillights, and somewhat of a trunk lid spoiler. The only way you can actually get that is going into the inline. Power release for the Sonata going into 15.6 cubic feet of storage. With the storage net underneath the floor, can option a spare tire, split fold the rear bench in the back by pulling the levers, and that will increase the cargo capacity, whereas the Elantra will only have a quick release that goes into 14.2 cubic feet of storage. Underneath the floor, can option a spare tire, and you can split fold the rear bench in the back, and that will increase cargo capacity to the Elantra. The Limited gets the HTec seats with 10-way power seat adjustment for the driver, heated and ventilated seats for the front. You will not be able to option that when you go into the blue memory for the driver. The Sonata Limited gets leather seating, 10-way power seat adjustment for the driver with 4-way power seat adjustment for the passenger. Heated seats is standard on the SEL Hybrid. The Limited gives you ventilated seats, memory for the driver. For the Elantra Limited Hybrid, headroom and leg room, it is a driver-focused setup. It's going to be a little bit more tight the way the design is because we have a grab handle and basically a wall. The nice thing though is on the passenger side, it does utilize a sleeve for extra storage on the passenger side. Air vents are going to be structured lower, which is good because heat rises. A curved 1-panel, 2-screen layout that's both 10.25. Navigation only comes on the Limited Hybrid. Click here and now you have a 2-screen layout. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming, Bluetooth audio, Blue Link. Put it into reverse. We get a reverse camera with trajectory. Click here and you can change different camera layouts, front and rear parking sensors. But on the Sonata, you're going to get a 360-degree reverse camera, full trajectory for the front and the rear. You can change different camera layouts because you have a ton of different areas to view. Plus you got a 3D view so you can go all around the vehicle here. And this is a 12.3 information display. Navigation only comes on this tier. You'll have the split screen layout. You can also expand that out. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming, Bluetooth audio, dynamic voice recognition, Blue Link. Dual climate control settings is standard, and this is a touchpad opposed to a standard dual climate control settings. Wireless charging pad, 12-volt USB leather around the shifter. Driver mode select right here, which you could change different driving modes on the gauge cluster, which is a 10.25. And if you want to change the layout, you go into the center, click setup, go into screen layout, cluster theme, and you can change it to cubes. I like the Sport, how the fire comes out. And you can just change it to a classic A, B, or C. With a similar design for the Sonata, except this is a 12.3 driver cluster, and it can go through an array of information as well as when you use the blind spot monitoring, you actually have the cameras that will indicate in the gauge cluster, which you're not going to receive that on the Elantra. Leather wrap steering wheel, multi-function. Paddle shifts, and you notice we don't have that wall that separates the passenger and driver. Push here for your 12-volt USB ports, wireless charging pad, key fob for the new Sonata Hybrid, and for the Elantra. It's going to be a lot more sporty here. Opens up to a medium-sized storage pocket. Auto-dimming rear view mirror will not be on the SEL, only the Limited trim, as well as a moonroof, LED interior lights. The Sonata will get the large pano moonroof with the auto-dimming rear view mirror, LED interior lights with 64 color ambient lights and a heads-up display. It's going to be actually a lot more soft here. Same size storage pocket, more or less. It's just pushed upwards a little bit. As for headroom and leg room, 12 speakers through Bose are going to be on both trims. You're going to have soft materials here, one touch up and down for both of the front windows. Only one touch auto up and down for the driver. It's a lot more sporty. You'll have the cloth inlays here with a large storage pocket, but a little bit more of an opening for the Sonata. For the back seats of the Elantra, headroom and leg room, storage only behind the passenger seat, USB ports, cup holders with armrests, and the door is going to have the same materials found in the front, so you have the cloth inserts. It's going to be sporty pretty much everywhere else with a smaller storage pocket. As for the Sonata headroom and leg room, you'll still have the same storage behind the passenger seat, except you're getting air vents, USB ports, armrests with cup holders, and the Limited Hybrid is the only Sonata that offers these manual sunshades, and it's going to be soft for the grab handle area with a smaller storage pocket. Sliding into the center, the floor is not completely flat. You'll be sharing some feet space, leg, butt, and shoulder space. It is going to be a little bit more wide here, but headroom is going to be compromised because of the large pano moonroof and the design of the headliner. The Elantra does not have a flat floor either, but you'll still have about the same width for your feet space, but leg and shoulder space is going to be just a little bit more tight, but the headroom is really where it starts becoming a little bit more superior. 139 horsepower, It's a hybrid. You're not going to be doing anything too crazy. And when you're in the Elantra, you're looking to get the best bang for your buck plus MPGs. As for dynamics, you can maneuver in and out. The steering wheel is going to have a little bit of weight to it, but I like that you can get a 16-inch wheel, because if you're looking to get the most MPGs, smaller wheels, it's going to be a little bit more comfortable and typically weighs a little bit less than these larger 17-inch wheels. The interior, I think they did a good job with the 10.25 screen layout because it doesn't look over the top. I do not like the driver focus setup with this wall here in the grab handle. I think it's a little bit of an overkill because it actually makes the vehicle feel smaller. I like that we have a gear lever because in the Sonata you don't receive that. It's going to be on the steering column, which for tall people you can hit it with your knee. But going into the Sonata, you're gonna have some more luxury amenities. It's gonna take me to some pros and cons. Starting off with the pros is when you're in the Elantra, you're getting the savings, you're getting better MPGs, but then you're lacking in technology. You're still getting the Bose sound system though. So when you're thinking about the stereo configuration, you're taken care of there. The cons, the driver focus setup, like I said, no air vents on any of the Elantra trims are going to be in the center rear. You don't get any sunshades like you'll get in the Sonata. And you sit higher up than I would like also, because when I'm in the Elantra, I kind of wish it was a little bit lower to the ground, because on the exterior, it looks like a little sports car for a family sedan, but on the interior, it feels like I'm in a larger vehicle than it is. Turn radius at a stop point. It's going to receive about 2 to par lane. It has the pickup, 6-speed DCT automatic transmission opposed to a 6-speed automatic transmission. That can be a pro or a con depending on the field that you're in on the transmission spec, but I do like that it's not a CVT transmission. ECVT transmission probably would have been a little bit better to option here. And going against competition, the new Honda Civic Hybrid will be a little bit better than this, but that should be that way because they came out afterwards. But as for the Accord, the Sonata, I feel is going to be a little bit better, more sporty. Plus you have a lot of different options when you go to the Sonata. The same thing when you go into the Elantra. So when you're thinking about rivals, even going against Toyota, you're not going to have this many different trims to choose from, making it either more sporty or more eco-friendly in either trim you choose. The road noise does come in a little bit more so than my liking, considering we have smaller wheels and we don't feel like we're riding on the ground. The seat cushion is good, but you only can option HTec seats. Whereas when you go into the Hybrid Limited Sonata, you're getting leather interior. Taking me to the big problem for the Elantra Hybrid Limited has to be the 6-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. The only reason why I'm stating this is because this is usually found in sports cars, which when you are engaging the vehicle, in some cases you might feel like it's slipping, and that can be the case because you have 2 clutch pads which will rub against each other if you're changing the gears too quickly when you're into a sport mode, in which when you're in a hybrid, an ECVT transmission or a traditional 6 or 8 speed automatic transmission will be more ideal for better MPGs. As for the Sonata Hybrid Limited, this is going to get all the bells and whistles, even more so than the non-hybrid variants going past the inline. You're not going to get the sporty aesthetics on the exterior, but inside it still has somewhat of a driver focus setup. It's a little bit more airy because the gear lever isn't in the center. And I like that we're getting leather, heated, ventilated seats, but you're getting it in both trims now. However, in the back, you're getting the air vents plus those manual sunshades. The big sellers for me, if I was looking at the two, would be the 360-degree reverse camera and the rear blind spot monitoring view. Because it's a few grand difference, you're not really getting that much of a savings in MPGs. This is going to be more horsepower. It will have a little bit more curb weight, but you're also getting a little bit more cargo capacity. It's going to take me to some pros and cons. Starting off with the pros on the Sonata is you get everything unlocked. So it's similar to the Honda Accord. You have to go up the trim level. The difference though is you're going to be saving, plus you're going to be getting more cargo capacity, and you get the manual sunshades, which Honda and Toyota don't even offer that. And thinking about the new Toyota Camry, it's going to have more horsepower. And you'll have a sport tuned suspension, but it's not something that you need. But on the cons to the Sonata, you can only option a 17-inch wheel configuration. There's no changing in the suspension layout going from an SEL to a limited trim. The major difference between the two specs is tech and interior spec. Taking me to the big problem with the Sonata Hybrid is, even though you're getting great value, it's hard for me to say that it's not better to get the Elantra, because you're only getting maybe 4 or 5 different items that are kind of crucial usually for me. But considering the vehicles are basically right at the same size, I would just option the savings, because the wind noise, the drive to the vehicle, it's all relatively the same. Unless you're not a fan of a 6-speed DCT automatic transmission, then I would go to this tier, maybe consider the SEL, but I probably would go into the limited then and try to work a deal. But let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank Hyundai of Lakewood for giving us these two 2024 Hyundais, the Sonata Hybrid Limited versus the Elantra Hybrid Limited, for our car review.